Today, we're talking about the magic behind our instant digital world. And it really boils down to two incredible pieces of tech, Apache Kafka and Apache Flink. Let's dive in.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? That tiny, tiny moment right after you click a button? What's actually happening in that millisecond? Well, it's not nothing. It's this absolute whirlwind of data. And if you can wrap your head around that, you basically understand how the modern internet works.
I mean, it really does feel like magic, right? You get a fraud alert on your phone the instant something weird happens with your card. Or you're watching your food delivery inch closer on a live map. But, it's not magic. It's all about a really smart architecture, a totally different way of looking at data.
Okay, so to really get why this new way is such a big deal, we got to take a quick look back at the old way of doing things. For ages, data was treated, well, like laundry. You just let it pile up in these huge heaps, and then eventually you'd get around to sorting through it. And this right here shows that shift perfectly. On one side, you've got batch processing. That's the old school laundry method. Wait for a big pile, then run a cycle. Hours, maybe even days later, you get your results. But on the other side, streaming. Think of that as a river that never stops. You're not waiting for anything. You're dealing with the data as it flows by, in real time.
Yeah, so batch is all about looking in the rearview mirror. It's great for stuff like, hey, how were our sales yesterday? Or what did our users do last month? But it's totally useless for telling you what's happening this very second. That delay, what we call latency, is just way too long.
And that's where everything changes. We have to completely shift our mindset from these static piles of data to a constant living flow of events.
This is the whole point. Real-time analytics isn't about historical reports. It's about reacting to what's happening in the next millisecond. It's about turning that flow of data into an instant, meaningful action.
Just look at this chart for a second. The scale here is insane. We're not talking about shaving off a few seconds. We're talking about a leap from hours down to milliseconds. It's a totally different ballgame, a whole new universe of what's possible.
So the big question is, how do you even do that? How do you get that fast? Well, it starts with building a brand new kind of digital plumbing. And the first piece of that puzzle is a technology called Apache Kafka. The best way to think about it, it's like a massive, super fast highway just for data.
Actually, here's an even better analogy. Imagine all of a company's apps and services are a human body. In that case, Kafka is the central nervous system. It's the thing carrying all the signals, the pain, the touch, the thoughts, from every part of the body to where they need to go, and it does it instantly. So Kafka's core job is just to be the most reliable, fastest messenger on the planet. It's built to handle a fire hose of data. We're talking clicks, purchases, location updates, you name it, from thousands of different sources, and just shuttle it all where it needs to go. No delays, no data loss. It's the indestructible information highway of the system. And this right here is the absolute genius of Kafka. See, in the old days, every app had to be directly connected to every other app that needed its data. It was this tangled, brittle spider web that would break all the time. Kafka completely changes the game. It acts as a middleman, a central bus stop. The apps that create data just drop it off at the Kafka stop. The apps that need data just go to the stop and pick it up. They don't even have to know the other one exists. It makes everything so much more flexible and resilient. Okay, so we've got our super fast nervous system, Kafka, carrying signals everywhere. But a nervous system on its own isn't that useful, right? You need a brain to actually process all those signals and make sense of them. And in our data world, that brain has a name, Apache Flink.
It's as simple as that. If Kafka is the nervous system, Flink is the brain. Flink's job isn't to move data around. Its job is to think about the data as it's flying by. It analyzes it, looks for patterns, and makes decisions on the fly, while the events are still in motion.
So this really boils it down, doesn't it? Kafka's job, move the data. Flink's job, make decisions on that data. One's the nervous system, the other's the brain. The messenger and the decision maker. You absolutely need both working together to build these incredible real-time applications.
Okay, let's make this super practical. Think about fraud detection. You can tell Flink a simple rule. Hey Flink, if you see more than 5 failed login attempts for the same user within 1 minute, something's wrong. The magic of Flink is that it has a memory, what engineers call state. So, as the login events stream in from Kafka, Flink is watching. It's keeping a running count for every single user. And the second that fifth failed login comes through within that 60-second window, bam, it triggers an alert instantly. All right, let's walk through the whole thing now from start to finish to see how all these pieces fit together.
So here's the journey. First, something happens out in the world. A user messes up their password 5 times. Second, Kafka, our nervous system, immediately grabs those 5 separate failure events and puts them on the data highway. Third, Flink, our brain, is watching that highway. It sees the 5 events, connects the dots, and recognizes the fraudulent pattern. And finally, fourth, Flink takes action. It fires off an alert to the security team. And the whole thing, from the user's final failed click to the security team's alert, happens in the blink of an eye. Milliseconds.
And you know what? This isn't just for banking fraud. This exact same pattern, this Kafka and Flink duo, is running the world around you. When a retail site gives you a perfect recommendation right after you look at a product, that's them. When you track your package moving on a map in real time, that's them. Even your social media feed, constantly refreshing with new stuff, yep, it's all powered by the same idea of data flowing and being processed instantly. And when we say instant, we mean it. For these kinds of critical systems, the gold standard is under 100 milliseconds. Let me say that again, less than 1/10 of a second. That's literally faster than you can blink. That's the speed required for an experience to feel truly real-time to us humans. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What should you really remember? It really comes down to this. Kafka is the indestructible messenger, the nervous system. Flink is the super-fast brain, the real-time decision maker. And when you put them together, they do something amazing. They turn data from something you just look at later into something that takes action right now. And just so you see where they live in the grand scheme of things, Kafka is at the very beginning, grabbing all the data as it's created. That's called ingestion. Flink is right behind it, doing the real-time thinking. That's processing. From there, the data might go off to be stored for later in a data lakehouse or used to train a big machine learning model. But Kafka and Flink, they are right there on the front lines, the first responders in the modern data world. Which brings us to a really interesting, kind of mind-bending question for the future. We've now built systems that can perceive and react to the world faster than a human can even think. So as this tech gets better and more common, what kinds of split-second decisions are we going to stop leaving to people? Think about that. What choices will we hand over completely to these lightning-fast digital brains? Thanks for watching.